Have you ever looked at someone, maybe even yourself, and felt, deep down, that they were never meant to fit into the ordinary fabric of this world, that something about them shimmered slightly outside the visible spectrum, like a whisper only the soul can hear if you have? Then you've already brushed against the energy of the chosen ones. Let me tell you something most won't dare to say aloud. Then there is a hidden order beneath the chaos of our world. And within that order, there exists a group of individuals who were not simply born, they were summoned, not by chance or by genetics, but by a divine call that echoes through lifetimes. And when this call is answered, something shifts not just within the individual, but in the collective rhythm of humanity itself. These chosen ones do not announce themselves with trumpets or thrones. They often walk among us silently, weathered by storms the rest of the world doesn't even see. But don't mistake their humility for weakness, or their stillness for apathy, because beneath their quiet demeanor lies a power forged in fire, a fire not of destruction, but of awakening. In the next moments, what I'm about to share with you may challenge what you believe about strength, wisdom, and purpose. But it may also affirm something you've always known in your bones, that the world we see is only the surface of something far deeper. And those we call the chosen are the bridges between these realms. On this journey, we will walk through the veils of illusion and uncover 7 sacred truths about the chosen one's truths that may have lived dormant within you, waiting to be named. Why are they so deeply protected? Why do their words carry weight beyond reason? And why is it that those who cross them rarely walk away unchanged? What you are about to hear is not mere philosophy. It is lived knowledge, etched in the soul of the mystic, the visionary, the outcast, and perhaps within you. So lean in, open your heart, because what comes next may not just explain the chosen ones, it may awaken the one sleeping inside. You. To understand the chosen ones, we must begin where most stories end, with the invisible, not the unseen in the sense of magic or illusion, but in the sacred architecture behind reality itself. Across centuries and civilizations, mystics, prophets, and philosophers have spoken of a lineage of souls whose presence signals a turning point in the destiny of the world. These aren't fairy tales. They're echoes of a deeper memory. In ancient Kabbalistic teachings, these souls are sparks of divine light, sent into the material world to heal and repair what's been broken. In Eastern traditions, they're bodhisattvas, those who delay their own enlightenment, to guide others across the river of suffering. In Christian mysticism, they are anointed ones, called to bear burdens most cannot see, let alone carry, regardless of name or tradition. The essence remains: the chosen ones are born not just for themselves, but for others. They show up when darkness thickens, when confusion reigns, when the collective soul of humanity begins to forget who it is. And they do not come to conquer, they come to remind. But here's the sacred irony: the chosen ones often forget their purpose before they remember it. They are born into struggle, doubt, and rejection. Their lives are marked by an ache they cannot name, a longing they cannot quench. And it is through these fires that their purpose is revealed, not as a crown placed upon their heads, but as a torch lit within their hearts. This is not about elitism or separation. Being a chosen one is not a reward, it is a responsibility. It requires humility deeper than the ocean and courage stronger than steel. They are not perfect. They falter. They question. But they rise. And in that rising, they light the way for others. If you've ever felt like you didn't belong, like your pain had a mysterious purpose, like you were being prepared for something greater, you're not alone. You may, in fact, be one of them. And the fact that you're here, listening, might be all the confirmation you need. Let us now walk together through the 7 signs and the sacred markers that reveal the essence of a chosen one. What follows is more than a description. It's a mirror, and perhaps a key. Let's begin. The first sign, and perhaps the most misunderstood, is the divine protection that surrounds the chosen ones. It is not loud, it is not boastful, but it is very, very real. Have you ever noticed someone who seems to walk through fire and not get burned, who weathers betrayal, loss, even spiritual attack, and yet somehow they emerge brighter, wiser, more whole? That is not coincidence. That is protection, a cloak of divine energy that shields not only their body, but their spirit. In many traditions, this is known as the mantle of the sacred. Joan of Arc, for instance, stood in the face of armies with nothing but a vision and a voice she trusted more than fear. What shielded her? Faith, yes, but also a divine presence, something ancient, something holy. And so it is with all chosen ones. They carry within them a frequency that repels the forces of chaos, or at least transforms it. But make no mistake, this doesn't mean they avoid struggle. No, their journey is often lined with pain and opposition. The difference is in how they walk through it. While others are shattered, they are refined. While others lose themselves in darkness, they remember who they are. This protection is not about comfort. It's about calling, about purpose, about being preserved for something greater. Imagine a candle in a hurricane. Every gust tries to snuff it out, and yet, somehow, it burns brighter. That is the essence of divine protection in a chosen one's life. A sacred force not always seen, but deeply felt. And when you're around them, you feel it too. That inexplicable peace, that quiet strength, that surge of hope you can't quite explain. This is why provoking or attacking a chosen one often backfires. Not because they retaliate, but because the very forces that shield them redirect that energy. It's like throwing a stone into a river and watching the water carry it back to shore. The protection isn't revenge, it's balance. And those who walk near the chosen feel it. They may not know why, but they sense it, that this person is not alone, that something walks with them, stands behind them, guides their steps. To be chosen is not to be immune to pain, but to be infused with grace, a grace that turns every wound into a doorway, every trial into a teaching. This is the first sacred truth. The chosen are protected not for pride, but for purpose. Their life is not just their own. It belongs to the greater healing of the world. And that healing begins with the fire that doesn't consume them, but completes them. The second sacred truth about the chosen ones is their extraordinary intellect and wisdom, a quality that goes far beyond knowledge, beyond credentials, and into the realm of sacred insight. These are not minds trained merely by textbooks or degrees. Their wisdom feels ancient, as if it were forged in a time before time. You may have encountered such a person, someone who, with just a few words, alters the way you see everything. They don't dominate the room with loudness. They shift its frequency with truth. They ask the questions no one else dares to ask, and offer answers that unlock doorways in your mind you didn't even know existed. This is not about IQ. It's about clarity, the kind of clarity that cuts through illusion like a blade of light when others are lost in the maze. The chosen ones see the exit. When others see chaos, they discern the pattern. And this ability doesn't just benefit them, it uplifts everyone around them. Their minds are sanctuaries, labyrinths of sacred thought, where the wisdom of their ancestors dances with future visions. They perceive the interconnectedness of all things. They see how pain becomes purpose, how failure can shape destiny. And this knowing is not theoretical. It is embodied. It's earned through scars, through long nights of the soul, through the silence where no one else could guide them. When they speak, people listen not because they demand it, but because their words resonate at a frequency that the soul remembers. They don't just speak to the mind, they awaken the spirit. But here's what many don't realize: this wisdom often comes at a cost. The chosen ones are not born wise, they are made wise by trial, by solitude, by surrender. Life has been their teacher, pain their textbook, intuition their compass, and because of that, their insights are not just clever, they are transformative. Underestimating the intellect of a chosen one is like dismissing the moon because it shines quietly. You may not feel the pull of their wisdom immediately, but over time, you'll notice your tides changing. They don't argue to win. They speak to heal. They speak to guide. They speak because truth won't let them stay silent. In a world drowning in noise, the chosen ones offer signal, and to truly hear them is to remember something eternal within yourself. This is the second sacred truth. The wisdom of the chosen is not borrowed, it is built. And when they share it, they are offering not just thoughts, but lifelines. The third sacred truth is perhaps the most felt, yet least understood. The chosen ones possess an extraordinary capacity to influence, to shift the very atmosphere of a room, to spark transformation not only in thoughts, but in the hearts and destinies of those around them. Their presence alone is often a catalyst, not by force, not by command, but by a resonance that stirs something ancient and yearning within us. Have you ever found yourself opening up to someone without knowing why, revealing fears you hadn't even admitted to yourself? That's not manipulation. That's permission. That's what a chosen one evokes. A sacred invitation to be seen, to be heard, to be known at the soul level. This influence is not rooted in charisma or social tactics. It is spiritual gravity. They draw people not because of who they appear to be, but because of what lives within them. A frequency of truth, a vibration of love, a memory of something holy we thought we'd forgotten. When they speak, hearts soften. When they touch, pain lifts. When they simply stand still, the chaos quiets. They don't try to influence. They are the influence. It emanates from their core like the scent of jasmine from a flower. It just is. But let's go deeper. This multidimensional influence extends far beyond the individual. Chosen ones shift culture. They ripple through consciousness. In history, they've been called prophets, visionaries, sages, rebels. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., whose voice didn't just call for justice, it awakened it. Or the Dalai Lama, whose presence alone brings an entire room into peace. These aren't anomalies. They're archetypes of the chosen. Their impact is layered, personal, communal, planetary, even in your own life. You may recall a conversation that changed you, a glance that gave you courage, a moment when someone spoke directly to the part of you that had long been silent. That was not random. That was the touch of a chosen one. To underestimate this power is to ignore the very currents of spiritual evolution. To disregard their influence is to reject the medicine meant for your healing. This is the third sacred truth. Chosen ones are agents of transformation, not by effort, but by embodiment. And to encounter one is to be reminded of who you could become. The fourth sacred truth is one that reveals the burden of brilliance. Chosen ones often walk a lonely path. Their insight, their light, their very frequency is so different, so elevated, that it can create distance rather than connection. And so, they are often misunderstood not because they lack clarity, but because the world around them lacks the lens to comprehend them. Have you ever seen someone who seems to drift just slightly outside the rhythm of society, who doesn't quite fit into its expectations, who seems too intense, too quiet, too truthful? That is the isolation of a chosen one. It is not chosen, it is inherited. It comes as part of the calling. They are not above others, but they often live beyond the reach of conventional understanding. Their thoughts are deeper, their concerns broader, their vision stretches across lifetimes, not just moments. And this can be deeply unsettling to those rooted in the ordinary. Society, in its fear of the unfamiliar, often labels these souls as strange, difficult, even dangerous. Visionaries are dismissed, mystics are mocked, truth-tellers are silenced. Yet again and again, history reveals that these very individuals were the ones who carried the seeds of the future. Their defensiveness, their guardedness, it's not pride, it's protection, a need to safeguard the sacred from the profane. Their solitude becomes a sanctuary, a place where their ideas can grow without judgment, where their spirits can heal from a world that too often wounds what it doesn't understand. But here lies the paradox, as the isolation of the chosen one is not only their crucible, it is also their teacher. In the silence, they find depth. In the absence of applause, they find truth. In the rejection of the world, they find the embrace of the divine. And when they emerge from this cocoon of separation, they do so with a voice that is purified, with a presence that no longer seeks validation, but offers revelation. This is the fourth sacred truth. Chosen ones are often exiled by the world they were born to heal, but in that exile, they are refined, prepared, and made holy. To walk beside them requires compassion. To understand them requires depth. To see them clearly is to stretch the boundaries of your own soul. And when you do, you realize they were never lost. They were simply ahead of their time. The fifth sacred truth that surrounds the chosen ones is their powerful intuition, a deep and unwavering inner compass that often defies logic, yet proves uncannily accurate. This is not mere instinct or gut feeling. It is a sacred form of knowing, birthed from alignment with spiritual truth and divine timing. They are the ones who sense the storm before the clouds gather, who feel the shift in energy when a room turns tense, who recognize a lie even when cloaked in charm. Their eyes are not just for seeing, they perceive. Their ears do more than hear, they discern. Where others rely on data, chosen ones rely on resonance. They feel when something is off. They sense what is not being said. They understand the undercurrents of human emotion, the silent language of intention, the frequencies behind words. And because of this, they often appear mysterious, even unnerving. People may feel exposed in their presence, not because the chosen one is prying, but because truth naturally reveals itself before them. Their energy calls forth authenticity. Masks crumble, pretenses dissolve. This intuition, however, is not about control. It is about compassion. The chosen ones use it to guide, not manipulate, to heal, not to harm. They become the mirrors in which others see themselves clearly for the first time. In spiritual traditions, this gift is known by many names: second sight, divine insight, the eye of the soul. But regardless of what you call it, its essence is the same: a profound, heart-centered clarity that transcends reason. They don't just know things, they understand them at a soul level. They can see into your pain and recognize its root. They can witness your potential long before you can, and in their presence, you may feel seen in a way that transcends language. This is the fifth sacred truth. Chosen ones carry within them a sacred intelligence that goes beyond intellect. It is intuitive wisdom. It is soul-knowing, and it makes them both deeply loving and divinely discerning. To dismiss this gift is to overlook the very compass that leads us to truth. To ignore it is to wander in a world of shadows, never realizing that light was walking beside you all along. The sixth sacred truth is one that speaks to the very heart of spiritual alchemy. Chosen ones have the profound ability to transmute darkness into light. Where others see endings, they see beginnings. Where others feel pain, they extract purpose. Where others collapse under the weight of suffering, they rise, reborn. This is not about denying darkness. It is about knowing it and then redeeming it. Chosen ones are not immune to hardship. On the contrary, their paths are often riddled with trials that test the very fabric of their being. But through each trial, something miraculous occurs. The ashes of suffering become the soil of transformation. They have learned, often through deep personal anguish, that every wound holds a key. Every shadow conceals a lesson. Every descent is a prelude to ascension. This is the ancient art of transmutation, not by force, but by surrender, not by escaping pain, but by journeying through it and emerging with treasure in hand. You've likely met someone like this, a soul who has suffered greatly, yet carries no bitterness, whose eyes hold storms, yet speak only of peace, who listens not just with ears, but with a heart refined by fire. That is the mark of a chosen one who has turned pain into power. And this transformation doesn't stop with them. It radiates outward. Those who come near them begin to feel it, begin to heal, begin to believe that their own brokenness is not a death sentence, but a doorway. This is not magic. It is sacred mastery. It is the result of a soul that has faced the darkness within and chosen to become the light anyway. In alchemical texts, lead becomes gold. In the chosen one's life, trauma becomes wisdom, loss becomes love, grief becomes grace. They are not just survivors, they are sacred transmuters. This is the sixth sacred truth. Chosen ones carry within them the divine fire of transformation. They are not destroyed by their pain, and they are defined by their ability to rise from it. And in rising, they teach us all that nothing is wasted, and no darkness is final. Through them, we remember the light we seek is not out there. It is born in the very places we fear to enter. The seventh sacred truth unveils one of the most mysterious and powerful aspects of the chosen ones. They are bearers of hidden knowledge. They carry within them truths not taught in schools, not spoken aloud, not found in common books. These truths are ancient, sacred, and alive. It is as though they were born remembering something the rest of the world forgot. Or perhaps it is that they listen more closely to the silence, to the symbols, to the synchronicities others overlook. Their knowledge is not always conveyed through language. It is transferred through presence, through energy, through a look or a moment that somehow rearranges your understanding. They may speak in riddles or remain silent altogether, yet something in their being stirs awakening. Their lives are the message. Their embodiment is the teaching. Just as a river does not need to speak to teach you, flow. A chosen one does not need to explain themselves to reveal truth. In many traditions, these are the ones entrusted with sacred scrolls, with divine blueprints, with the whispered wisdom of the stars. Some call it the Akashic records. Some call it collective memory. Others call it divine remembrance. Whatever the term, the effect is the same. To encounter a chosen one is to feel as though a forgotten part of you just woke up. They are keepers of the deep codes, the soul codes, and when the time is right, when the listener is ready, they release that knowledge not to impress, but to illumine. Their presence often catalyzes sudden realizations, spiritual downloads, shifts in consciousness. They may not even be aware of how profoundly they are affecting those around them, but the impact is undeniable. Eyes open, hearts soften, paradigms dissolve. This is the seventh sacred truth. Chosen ones are vessels of hidden knowledge meant to awaken the world. They do not hoard wisdom, they radiate it. And in doing so, they call forth the dormant knowing within each of us. To walk beside a chosen one is to remember. To truly see them is to recognize a part of yourself reflected in their gaze. And to honor them is to honor the sacred truth rising in your own soul. And now we arrive at the heart of it all, the final truth, the thread that weaves all the others together. Chosen ones are not here to be worshipped. They are here to awaken. Their lives are not trophies, but torches. Their purpose is not to be above others, but to ignite the sacred within them, their divine protection, their wisdom, their power to influence, their isolation, their intuition, their transmutation of pain, their hidden knowledge, all of it is in service to something larger, the awakening of humanity. But here's the revelation we must not overlook. You may be one of them. Not all chosen ones are public figures. Not all stand on stages or speak in grand parables. Some are mothers, fathers, artists, quiet wanderers, those who love fiercely and feel deeply. Some heal with words, others with silence, some with touch, others with presence alone. You may have spent years thinking your pain was meaningless, that your difference was a flaw, that your isolation was a punishment. But maybe, just maybe, it was preparation for this moment, for your remembrance, for your rising. To be a chosen one is not a title, and it's a responsibility. It's a choice to live aligned with the divine, to serve truth over comfort, to be a bridge between worlds. It means carrying light into places where darkness once reigned. It means facing the mirror again and again, and still choosing love. So now, the invitation is yours. Will you accept the truth of who you are? Will you rise to the calling that's whispered through every heartache, every coincidence, every spark of wonder? The world does not need more noise. It needs more light. It needs more souls who remember, more hearts who open, more spirits who choose to lead not by domination, but by illumination. If you feel something stirring within you, now do not ignore it. That is the seed of awakening. That is your ancient self remembering. That is the voice of the sacred saying, "It's time." This is the final sacred truth. Chosen ones are not a myth. They are a mirror. And in that mirror, you may see the reflection of everything you were born to become. So walk forward with courage, with grace, with reverence, and let the world be changed. Because you remembered who you are.